Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be going through my top 10 most anticipated movies of this upcoming year. I think that this is going to be a really good year for movies. There are a lot of movies that I'm actually really excited about this year, which is interesting. I feel like last year going into the year, there were only like 5 or 6 movies that were really on my radar. I struggled to condense this list down to like 20, and then I decided I'm going to rank the top 10. Before I get too far into that, I am going to give you guys 5 honorable mentions real quick. These are 5 movies that I am excited about, but they just for one reason or another didn't end up on my top 10 list. So coming at my what would have been my number 15 spot, we have the live action Stitch movie. Lilo and Stitch, I feel like, was one of my favorite movies growing up. I feel like the Stitch character is somebody who's incredibly entertaining and super funny. I think that the design form looks incredible, and a lot of people tend to forget this movie ends with a lot of fight sequences of like spaceships chasing after each other. I feel like that's going to look incredible in live action, and I'm really excited to see kind of like the almost like the pod fighter type stuff that we saw out of like the Star Wars movies. But in this movie, it's going to be great. I'm really excited about it. The next one, we have the movie F1. This is one starring Brad Pitt, and it's from the director of Top Gun Maverick. I feel like all of the driving sequences in this movie are going to be absolutely incredible, and I feel like Brad Pitt is just one of those actors where it's like he is captivating in every movie he's ever been in. I feel like him doing a racing movie is going to be, kind of similar to movies like Ford versus Ferrari, which are some of my favorite movies of all time. So this one is very personal to me. I'm very excited about it, and that's part of the reason it did make it on the list. It's just super personal to me. The next one, we have the movie Mickey 17. Incredibly excited about that movie. I think that it looks fantastic. That director has done a lot of really great things in the past. It's a very original concept, which I really like, and I think Robert Pattinson doing a silly little voice is going to be very entertaining. The next one that we have coming up is a horror movie called Hard Eyes. I'm incredibly biased, but I do think that like slashers and any kind of movies where it kind of takes place with like a young group of characters and then there's somebody going around killing a bunch of people, like that's fun. I like whodunits. I like the Scream franchise. I think that the Scream franchise very quickly became one of my favorite franchises ever once I finally got around to watching all of them. And so this style of movie is just one that I particularly like really well. I think that it's going to be a very comedic movie, which is going to shock a lot of people, and I'm going to have a really good time with it. And then the last one for my honorable mentions, I have the movie The Gorge. It has Anya Taylor-Joy, and it has the man, the myth, the Miles Teller. Absolutely love both of those actors. They're people that I would watch in almost anything, and it's a very interesting concept about them being across from this gorge or whatever that's like a gateway to hell, and they're both snipers who are protecting their respective towns, and it kind of seems like it's going to be almost like a Romeo and Juliet type forbidden love story, and I'm very intrigued to see what they do with it. But starting off my top 10, we got the movie Novocaine. This movie looks like it's going to be an incredibly fun action movie. For people who do not know the premise, Jack Quaid's character is somebody who cannot feel pain. For some reason, he has some condition where like he can get stabbed, he can get shot, he can put his hand into a really hot thing of frying oil, and it does not affect him whatsoever. And he's just a regular guy living a day-to-day life, and then one day his girlfriend gets kidnapped and is being like held captive, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go get her myself. And it looks like it's gonna be a fun action movie. I think that Jack Quaid is just an incredible actor, and I'm very excited to see what he does going forward. So I'm very excited about this movie. Alrighty, I'm not a big fan of gothic horror, but coming in 9th place, we have the movie Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro. I think he's one of the best directors working nowadays. I think that his style is so eccentric and interesting and dark. I think that gothic horror is a very beautiful kind of subgenre of horror, and I think that it's going to continue to thrive coming into the next couple of years. The cast for this one looks phenomenal. I will definitely be seated one of the first weekends this one comes out. Coming into 8th place, I'm a huge fan of Jack Quaid, and this is a movie called Companion. I don't know literally anything about this movie, and I'm being totally honest with you. All I know about it is Jack Quaid is in it, Sophie Dasher is playing his love interest in it, and they seem like it's going to potentially be a very interesting kind of meta commentary on how far you'll go for love. They're doing a lot of really crazy things. They are, if you see the trailer, you'll know this movie looks like it's going to potentially get really dark, and I'm very intrigued to see what they're doing with it. It kind of seems like almost like a 50 Shades of Grey type movie, but it just kind of seems more like just two very toxic people in love with each other, and them kind of like literally tearing each other's lives apart, but like in a very like captivating way. I don't know how to describe it, but this movie just immediately caught my attention, and it just seems like something that I think is going to really stand out from any other movie that comes out this year, and because of just the originality alone of it, I'm insanely excited about this movie. Coming in 7th place, we have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. The first Mission Impossible movie that I saw in theaters was Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I love that movie. I thought that Haley Atwell did an incredible job in that movie. She almost outperformed the man, the myth, the Tom Cruise, who is one of the greatest actors working alive. And I think that the action in these movies are always incredible. The stunt work is fantastic. I love all of this little tropey things that they do, the whole like having the cloak masks and being able to, you know, pretend to be a different person. I like the fact that they have an AI villain. I understand that like a lot of people are going to get really tired of this trope relatively quickly, but I like everything that they've done with it so far. And I think that overall, figuring out how they're going to conclude this movie is very exciting to me. I think that there's going to be a whole lot of fun with it. I think that it's going to be a great movie. I feel like Tom Cruise is one of those actors where it's like he's not going to be in a movie if he doesn't think that there's something really special there. So this movie, it's just going to be fantastic. Coming in 6th place, this one is definitely a personal preference, but Now You See Me 3. Growing up, Now You See Me 2 was one of my comfort movies. I used to watch it literally all the time. I love the concept of there being a heist movie, but like, what if the people who are doing the heist are really nerdy, dorky, kind of attractive people who are charismatic and magicians? Okay, and then you add that with the fact that they're kind of like a Robin Hood type figures. I really like this movie. I love everything that they've done with them. I like the fact that they're kind of like fugitives on the run and they're doing some really cool magic, you know, stuff. And I like the fact that they kind of like threw logic out the window. The first movie, it definitely had a lot of like magic tricks and stuff that kind of made like sense how somebody would potentially be able to pull it off. Now they're definitely doing things that actual magicians can't do. And I really like just the whole energy that these movies have. I think that the comedy works really well. I think that the style works really well. And overall, this is just a cast that I really enjoy seeing. So I'm glad that they're bringing everybody back for this one. Coming in 5th place, I do want to draw attention. I am wearing a Marvel hoodie. There are going to be superhero movies on this list. My 5th place is Fantastic Four, The First Steps. I'm a really big fan of the Fantastic Four. I think that in the comics, they are one of the most influential comic book runs ever. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize this. The whole, like, team dynamic in comics almost always comes from the Fantastic Four. It's one of the first teams ever in the history of comic books. They're almost a family. They're referred to as Marvel's first family. And I love the way that they kind of start this thing that was really interesting that Marvel did with the superheroes kind of being celebrities, and I think that they're going to play into that in this movie. A lot of the promotional stuff that they put out for this already shows that the Fantastic Four is going to be a team that is already established. They've already gone through their accident. They're already like public heroes. I think that the stuff with the Thing is going to be incredible. This looks like it's going to be the first time we're seeing the Thing actually look more comic accurate. I feel like a lot of times they just make him this big rock dude, and like he has a distinctive look. Like the way that his head is shaped is like a very iconic thing, and I'm so excited to see them in their actual suits. I'm very excited about the fact that Galactus is going to be a villain, and something that excites me the most about this movie is this movie is taking place in a different universe than the rest of the MCU, which really makes me think the villain might win. I love it when a superhero movie has a villain winning. I think Infinity War is huge for that aspect alone. And it feels like one of the first times ever that like it feels like, okay, a character could potentially be killed off here. A character could die. This entire world could end up dying. And I think that that would be so awesome if they actually made that happen. I'm incredibly excited about this movie. I'm excited to potentially see Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. I imagine we're going to at least get a post-credit scene of him. It's going to be great. I really can't wait. Coming in 4th place, we have the movie Wicked for Good. I think that Wicked Part 1 was absolutely phenomenal. I love everything that they've done to kind of like separate these two movies. I mean, the two parts of the musical into two separate movies. I think that Part 1 of Wicked is like all the most iconic songs, a lot of the most memorable stuff. So I'm really intrigued to see what they do with the next part. I think that there's definitely a lot of hype to live up to now. The first movie is so incredible, but I think they're going to be able to pull it off. Cynthia Erivo was absolutely incredible in this. Ariana Grande was fantastic. And the fact that they're both getting their own original songs in this next movie does excite me a lot. I'm really excited to revisit this world. I think it's going to be incredible. Coming in 3rd place, we have the movie The Thunderbolts. I'm going to be totally honest here, and I know a lot of people are going to think this is like a crazy hot take. This has been my most anticipated Marvel movie since they announced all the movies that were coming back in like, I think 2020 or something like that. They released like, here's these like 12 movies that are coming out. Thunderbolts is one of my favorite comic book runs ever. I absolutely love the original one where it's a bunch of villains who are pretending to be superheroes and they're kind of like fancying around and then realizing, oh my god, it's actually really fun to save people. We should do this more often. I think that that's fun. And the fact that they're not necessarily taking that exact concept here, but they're taking instead a group of like misfit losers who feel like they could have done more with their lives, who've been kind of like contract killers, and putting them into a limelight where they're going to be superheroes. They're going to have to work together. I think it's going to be fun. I think that this team dynamic looks incredible. All of the trailers for it has gotten me even more on board with it. The only reason this is not number 1 on my list is because Baron Zemo has not been confirmed to be in this movie. I think that making a Thunderbolts movie without Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross or Zemo is definitely a bold choice, but the fact that they got the team from Netflix's Beef to rewrite the script here somebody who I believe worked on that show, is going to be directing this movie. I'm insanely excited about it. I think it's going to have a lot of the original Guardians of the Galaxy type feel, where it's like, this is a group of people who aren't necessarily heroes, but because they have personal stakes in it, they're going to be fighting for their lives, and it's going to be great. I'm really excited for it. Alrighty, and coming in second place, we have a film franchise that has like 2 perfect films, the Knives Out trilogy. This movie has the chance to potentially make this trilogy one of the greatest trilogies of all time. We're talking about Wake Up Dead Man, the Knives Out story. I'm incredibly excited about this. The cast is fucking phenomenal. I mean, you got Andrew Scott, Jeremy Renner, Kaylee Spaney, who's been having an incredible last couple of years. Obviously, Daniel Craig is returning. Jeremy Renner, I think I might have already said him. Who's the other one? Andrew Scott, Jeremy Renner, Josh O'Connor's, Josh Brolin's going to be in it. This cast looks fantastic. I think that they haven't made a single one of these Knives Out movies that haven't been great. I love the messaging of like the whole eat the rich kind of situation that's going on. I'm excited about this movie. I think it's going to be fantastic. I have no reason to believe this won't be one of the best movies of the year. But now coming in first place, as a huge superhero fan and as somebody who's been like a diehard Marvel fan my entire life, Superman. I feel like this movie is going to be incredible. I think that James Gunn is one of the most talented superhero directors we've ever had. I think that his style is always something that really shines through. He has a passion for these characters that you've never really quite seen before. And I think that it's just so interesting to me that he's deciding to turn Superman into this big public figure. He's not going to do the origin story. He's going to have a lot of other superheroes already be in the world. And in my opinion, one of the biggest problems that we deal with a lot of superhero media is the fact that they're in a world where superheroes exist, and then they'll still have like, the bad guys are going to be just some random regular dudes who are trying to rob a bank. I don't think there's going to be regular dudes robbing a bank if they know that Superman exists and stuff like that. So I like the fact that in the first trailer, we're seeing a lot of different bad guys. We're seeing a lot of different villains. We're seeing a lot of different superheroes. And having this movie kick off a new cinematic universe, and it's going to immediately just dive into the whole concept of the fact that there are superheroes everywhere. Like, Superman is not special by any means. He's not going to be like, oh my God, this is the first superhero we've ever had. It's going to be in a universe where they're like, yeah, superheroes. They've always been a thing. They're going to continue to be a thing. That's awesome. I love it. I'm really excited about this movie, and I can't wait to see what James Gunn pulls off with it. I will say, probably one of the most pressure on a movie ever in the history of ever to be good. An entire cinematic universe is resting on this film doing good, and I also think that Warner Brothers itself is a company that's kind of been falling and is getting closer and closer to bankruptcy. So if this movie succeeds, it'll almost completely save an entire film studio, which I think is incredible. But yeah, that being said, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. And if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow, bow, bow.